are Locked On Spurs, your daily San Antonio Spurs podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Spurs basketball is back today as your summer Spurs hit the court out in Las Vegas. But we're going to put into spotlight one of the players that could be on the San Antonio squad when the ball goes up in the air for the regular season. His name is Blake Wesley. Welcome back to Locked On Spurs right here on the Locked On NBA Network. I'm your host, Jeff Garcia, Kens5.com Spurs digital beat writer. Glad to have you back. Hey, yeah, basketball is back. Your silver and black will be in action today as they kick off 4 games out in Las Vegas. Your first chance to see Wesley, Malachi, Josh Primo. The list goes on and on. Some guys that are just picked up right after the draft. Darius Days, Dominic Barlow. Yeah, it's going to be an exciting time to watch the future of your Spurs because let's face it, the future rebuild is now. So who knows? Maybe one of these guys will be part of the rebuild moving forward. But we're going to put into spotlight today Notre Dame's Blake Wesley. He was the Spurs' 25th pick in the first round of the 2022 NBA draft. What do we like about him? What did he have to say to me and our guest today? Could he possibly become part of the San Antonio rotation now that they need a point guard because DeJounte Murray is not around anymore? Who is helping me today? He is my colleague over at Kens5.com, Casey Viera. Casey, before we dive into it, I got to ask you a quick nerd question really fast. Would you say Towley is an iconic cartoon figure? For those who don't know, Towley is a South Park a character who's basically like a towel. He's like a towel that's alive and loves to have fun. Like to have recreational fun with herbs.
I was going to say it's legalized now, so you could say it. He enjoys his fair share of weed.
Yeah,
it's legalized now, so we could say it, right?
That's right. I forgot. I'm so old school. I grew up in the era where it wasn't, where it was like taboo. But yeah, you can just go to like the 7-Eleven now and pick up a pack now.
Yeah, that era was only like 6 months ago. So,
But yeah, I was watching South Park before we hit record. I was like, man, I haven't seen Towley in a long time, man. I think he's iconic. I put him up there. Like, if you see him, you should know who he is, like without any context.
You're sick and twisted individuals like us, absolutely. Absolutely.
Yeah, see, that's what I like about Casey. Like, he tells me that he is a nerd, but are you like a closet nerd? Are you out there like I am?
Oh, definitely not like you. No,
not like me. No,
definitely not like you. But I mean, I have my roots. I have my comic book superhero roots.
That's right. I forgot your dad. I always forget about your dad. And well, I mean, he wasn't like, he just knew people in that industry, right?
Yeah, and he's a big collector. He's a big collector. So he likes collecting. That was his thing growing up. He's a big comic book fan growing up as a kid, and now he collects prints, like full page prints.
Nice. Those are nice.
Yeah. Not even as much. No, not even prints, but pages. That's the word I'm looking for. Pages of regular page you would see inside a comic, and it has the original sketching and details, things like that. So that's
those probably fetch a pretty penny, right? If you were to sell those.
Yeah, it kind of became a hobby of his, and I didn't really realize until my advanced age. It's definitely a profitable industry, a profitable hobby, I guess. I didn't learn that till years later, but yeah, that's my roots, I guess you could say.
Yeah, I like how you said advanced age. To my eyes, you're
advanced
young.
age.
In my eyes, you're like a kid to me.
Me too.
Stay young. I tell everybody, stay young. Don't.
Yep.
No, one of the valuable lessons Toys R Us taught me back in the day was never grow up. I always want to be a Toys R Us kid.
I was gonna say because you are in fact a Toys R Us.
Because I am a Toys R Us kid. Yeah, I was devastated when that company shut down. I was like, what? I was like, this can't be.
I was gonna say, what was worse, 2013 Ray Allen or the day that Toys R Us shut down?
Oh my God, they're right up there, neck and neck, man. 2013 Ray Allen shot and Toys R Us announcing. Did you ever see their goodbye message? It was brutal. Like, you didn't even have to be like a nerd like
I
me
did not.
to get the feels, man. It was rough, man. But enough about Towley, who is right now consuming a computer duster right now on
Yeah,
my
right.
TV screen.
Oh
But
my God.
let's dive into who we're putting on a spotlight today, and he is Blake Wesley, the Spurs rookie guard out of Notre Dame. Got a chance to sit with Casey and myself recently, but Casey, you're the guest. I'll let you talk about him first and what he had to tell you. Um, First of all, he's just 19 years old. I forget that they're just teenagers coming into a professional league, but he carries himself like he's ready, like he's confident that he's ready
Hmm.
to make his mark. And I know he told you, because I seen your interview on Kins5.com with him, and he's told me that he's looking forward to the summer league, isn't he?
Quiet confidence.
Yeah.
I think that's probably the best way to describe him. Quiet confidence. Is he the most charismatic dude in the world? Not in particularly, but is he tremendously confident in what he could do, and let you know that, and be yeah, and I guess quiet confidence is the best way to describe what he is, and it was a good conversation. I'm sure you learn the same thing as well, in that he has a good perspective, I felt like, of how this thing's going to go. Was that it's not for a 19-year-old to get playing time in this thing. It's not easy, let
Mhm.
alone in the San Antonio Spurs organization. It's not I know it's a little bit of a different time now, but just generally speaking, it is not easy for a 19-year-old to become a regular rotational piece, let alone a starting point guard, so to speak. And he certainly let it be known that he's aware of that this ain't going to
Mhm.
be easy to get to where he wants to be, but he's ready for it. And he was ready for it. And he comes from a good background, comes from a basketball family, comes from a basketball state, and he was ready for what was ahead. And I respect that. He talked about hustle and playing
Mhm.
defense and things like that. And I'm looking forward to it. I'm looking forward to see what he does during the summer league, and hopefully that translates to minutes when the regular season comes along.
I'm glad you brought up that whole minutes thing, and when the regular season comes along, because times, I mean, they're not a changing in San Antonio. They are definitely in that change mode in the start of it, at least in this
I was going to say times have
restart
already
reset.
changed.
Yeah, times already changed. Um, he is a guard, and the Spurs definitely have a boatload of guards on the roster right now. But because of this reset that San Antonio Spurs are going through, could you see him maybe not spend the bulk of his time in Austin G League, maybe spend about a monthish? Because why not throw him out there now? Because you got to see what you got now in this rebuild for San Antonio.
I think a month is a good number. I think a month is a good number to have in mind. I don't think the Spurs are done moving. I think they are going to try to get a veteran point guard, whatever's left on the market, or
Mhm.
make a small move for one. I don't think they're done doing any. I don't think they're done dealing yet. Uh, but that said, I do think that there is going to be a window of opportunity for him to get some time to do these things, a
Mhm.
window of opportunity for him to get his chance, because in reality, you look at it, and you alluded to it at the top, it's just kind of, why not? If there was ever an organization right now, or a setup to really get that chance to do it, I mean, you're looking at it right now, the Spurs. you're looking you're
Yeah.
looking at it. It's the point. They're the spot that they're devoid of, that point guard position. They don't have one. They have a lot of guys who are up for running, very much up for running for the gig. Why can't it be him?
Mhm.
Why can't it be him? Why can he not put himself in a spot to get that job, to get rotational minutes, why can't he? The argument of saying that, you know, you're blocked by DeJounte or
Yeah.
anyone else for that matter is not there. Everything's just fair game right now. So I do think, even though we're saying these things and about him in Austin, and I do think he will spend time in Austin. One, because I think it's the smart move, and two, there's a good chance that those minutes are not going to be there right off the bat. You know, the first guy to get that crack in line, first two guys getting the crack in line tentatively. Again, I think the Spurs are going to bring in a more experienced point guard than Trey Jones and Primo. But if they do not, those are going to be the two guys who get the first crack. Trey Jones and Joshua Primo are going to be the two dudes who get that first look to do it. But after that, I don't see why he can't, if he does if he performs, or at least does the things that he is cognizant of doing. I don't see why he can't do it. I don't see why not.
He is Casey Viera with Kens5.com. Make sure to follow him on Twitter at Casey_Viera. And we're putting Blake Wesley in the spotlight today right here on Locked On Spurs. But we're not done talking about him. We're going to look at some of the numbers that he put up at Notre Dame. What does Casey have to say more about his interview with Wesley? What did he learn? Maybe something surprising. And, of course, we'll get into what he had to say with me, which I promise it'll be up on Kens5.com soon. I just haven't gotten around to it. But it is refreshing to hear a different side of him, as he and I got a chance to speak over in Barclays Center on his draft night. But before we do that, I definitely want to talk to you about Truebill. Do you know why free trials renew without your consent? It's a business scam to get you out of your money. They want to dig into your pockets. Don't let them do that. Don't let greedy corporations pocket that money. Download Truebill right now to take control of your subscriptions. Truebill is the new app that helps you identify and stop paying for subscriptions you don't need, want, or simply forgot about. On average, people save up to $720 a year with Truebill, and because companies make subscriptions hard to cancel, Truebill makes it very, very simple. Just link your accounts and Truebill will take care of the rest. Cancel those unwanted subscriptions in just one tap. And your Truebill concierge is there when you need them to cancel those subscriptions you don't want, so you don't have to. I love Truebill. They save me tons of money. I use it. You should use it too. Has over 2 million users. Help them save over $100 million. And yeah, don't fall for subscription scams. Start canceling today. Truebill.com/LockedOnNBA. Go right now. Truebill.com/LockedOnNBA. It can save you thousands a year. Truebill.com/LockedOnNBA. We're back with Casey Viera right here on Locked On Spurs. Follow him on Twitter at Casey_Viera. And we're talking about Blake Wesley and much, much more. So you had a chance to sit down with him one-on-one, and I'm pretty sure he told you a lot of the same stuff he probably told me. But
yes,
what did you learn about him? Was there something unique that he told you? Was there something that you walked away with saying like, wow, this kid could probably make it, maybe not the Spurs long term, but maybe just in the NBA?
I think the big thing, and I tried to veer away as much basketball in our conversation, because as we talk about all the time on this program, San Antonio Spurs, if you play for the Spurs, you're a celebrity. You have the chance to be a celebrity in this city and really become a household name. And I wanted people to get to know this young man outside of the game of basketball, because I feel like that's really important in a way for a lot of these new faces, and really just Spurs faces in general, to endear themselves to this crowd, to this fan base out here, is to do exactly that. And my big takeaway from our conversation is that, one, he's really young. Like, and you talked about it before. He is a teenager, and you don't realize it until you're sitting down and sitting across from him and talking about his past, to the point you're just like, this guy's young. This guy's young. He's young. And when you're talking about him growing up and the fact that he never lived outside of the state of Indiana, never lived outside of South Bend, never lived outside of South
Wow.
Bend, born there, raised there, went to high school there, went to Notre Dame. So Indiana to come to San Antonio, well, this is the opportunity of a lifetime, and 10 times out of 10, 100 times out of 100, he's going to capitalize on the opportunity. Whatever which way you spin it, it's going to be bittersweet because that's all he's known. That's all he's known his whole life in Indiana. So, and it's something that he talked about, and I thought that was really refreshing, and kind of a little bit humbling, and a reminder that at the end of the day that these guys are people. Was that he said, yeah, it's going to be fun. I'm looking forward to the opportunity, but it's bittersweet because I'm leaving home, and this is my first chance, first time in my life that I'm doing that I'm leaving home. So I'm excited, I'm excited to do it, but admittedly, it's going to be a little bit bittersweet.
Yeah.
And to a certain degree, that was kind of refreshing to hear, from the sense that it was just kind of a reminder as to, he's just like everyone else. But I also thought it was good from the standpoint that this is a 19-year-old's first opportunity to learn and grow in the real world, and he comes from a good family. His parents, I don't know if you caught this in the interview, he said his parents are coming out to San Antonio to live with him for a little bit, which is for
smart.
19-year-old, tremendously smart to do that. We've seen far too many tales of how this is these kids, these rookies get taken advantage of. But tremendously smart that that's happening, that his family's going out there. So he comes from a good family, good kid, good background. Everything you hear about him, just good character guy all the way around. So I think this city's going to like him. If they don't like him, if they haven't started liking him already, I think they're going to like him.
I agree. I like that. I like the fact that his family is coming to San Antonio. He's not the first Spur to do something like that. I believe, I want to say it was Keldon when he was a rookie. His family was there. I think his brothers were.
I know Drew. The first time I had ever heard that was Drew Holiday. Maybe that's what Drew Holiday was the first time I had ever heard that, because remember Drew Holiday was 18 when he between 18 and 19. It's not really much difference at that point, but his grandma actually came out to live with Drew Holiday when he was in Philly. So it's not a foreign idea. If anything, it should be the norm for a lot, if possible.
Yeah. Well, they're coming out younger and younger and younger. I mean, that's what it feels like. One and done, 19-year-old, 18-year-olds coming out. But let's go and look at some of his numbers out in Notre Dame. Last season, again, with Notre Dame, 35 games played, 14.4 points per game, 3.7 rebounds, 2.4 assists, shot 40% from the field and 30% from the three line. During my chat with him, this is what stood out for me, that he is fully aware, and he ain't hiding it, that he has a bad shot. I mean, we talked about that extensively. And one of the reasons why he wants to prove himself in the Summer League that's starting today is that he needs to work on his shot. He's finally going to get that. The fact that he is just aware of his shortcomings, I think that speaks a lot about Blake, Casey.
No, I agree, and that's kind of the vibe that I got as well, was that he just knows what it is. He knows what it is. He knows that this is going to be a task to crack this rotation, even though the opportunity is there. It's a matter of putting that advice, putting that criticism into motion, and taking advantage of it. And I like that, though, Jeff. I like that. I like the fact that he's fully aware, and he's not coming in here and saying all these cliche coach speak things, all these things, blah, 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 like a lot of these other rookies do. I'm here to work, blah, blah, blah. Well, what are you working on? What is it that you're working on? Are you just saying that because, or are you aware of that these are your flaws and you're being open and real about it? And he's being open and real about the fact that, one, he knows his shots. He's not exactly the Reggie
Nope.
Miller of the world when it comes shooting behind the three-point arc.
Yeah.
And two, it's going to be a competition. The window's there to do something, but it's going to be a competition to get minutes. So I like that. Yeah, I'm with you. I like that a lot.
And I'm glad you brought up the word competition, because another thing he told me in my chat with him was that when he worked out with the Spurs, that it wasn't an individual, it was a group thing. And he said that mixed in that group workout were guys that were getting a lot of the shine, a lot of guys that were going to be projected top 10, top 15, way ahead of where he was projected. He said that bothered him so much. He said that he went out and just competed his ass off. That just drove him. And I like that, because you got to have that fire. You got to have that dog in you, as the kids say, if you're going to make it on the NBA level. And if he's showing this at 19 years old, imagine what he could possibly show starting today in Summer League. Maybe there's another guard on that roster, that's trying to take his job, take his minutes. We saw that in just a mere workout ahead of the draft. Imagine what we can see later on tonight out of Blake Wesley. So there's just so many good things about the Spurs. By the way, and speaking of Wesley and the draft, were you shocked that they took multiple guards to close out their first round? They took two back to back, basically. Because think about that, he has to compete against his own fellow rookie, that is Malachi Branham.
And yeah. I mean, he's got to compete against Malachi. It's so tough to say, man. And I know it's easy. We knock the Spurs, and I'm public enemy number one sometimes when it comes to that, knocking the Spurs in terms they just have a overload and just a largely imbalanced roster. But the league is just changing so much, and with the small ball things like that, the world that we live in, and the way that the league has adapted. It's almost just kind of like you're drafting by size and need as opposed to position, because there's some lineups that are going to go out there. Blake Wesley is going to be on the floor, and Blake Wesley, if you're focused primarily on defense, which is going to be the main reason he's going to see a lot of time, at least from the start, they're going to put him at the three. They're going to have him guarding other threes. If they're going super small, maybe even other fours. Once he can, a couple of them, that might be a couple of years down the road. He puts a little weight on. But am I shocked? No. Do I think that maybe they could have, especially at the Blake Wesley pick, maybe explored going a little bit bigger? Yeah, I think so. I mean, it might be recency bias, considering last week I just sat down and I was super impressed. I was super impressed by him and what I saw, and talking to him for an hour or however long, I don't know. Having an extended conversation with him, that might be a little bit of a bias in me right now. But there is an element of surprise, I think.
Yeah.
There is.
He is Casey Viera, and if you want to check out his one-on-one chat with the Spurs rookie guard Wesley, go to kens5.com right now. Or is it on your Twitter as well? Is it there?
Yes. I'll double check.
Here, okay. Well, regardless, just still give him a follow on Twitter at Casey_Viera. But yeah, it's a great interview. I recommend everybody to go check it out. And I promise my chat with him will be up soon at kens5.com. It was funny because when Casey had told me that he had did that, my first reaction was like, oh my God, I mean, maybe this might be too like Wesley overload. Because I had told Casey, Casey had texted me, and I was like, well, it's funny you say that, because I did one too. So you're definitely going to get to know Wesley at kens5.com. That's for sure. Again, go check it out.
That ain't a bad thing.
Yeah.
That ain't a bad thing.
Yeah, go check out that interview. Or you know what? I believe it's definitely on the kens5.com YouTube page. I know that for a fact. So go there, check out Casey speaking with the Spurs rookie guard. When we get back, we're going to get Casey's reaction to the obvious team rebuild, the trades, because it's been a while since Casey's been on Locked On Spurs. So I'm pretty sure he has a few opinions about what the Spurs are doing right now. But before we do that, I want to talk to you about Bet Online, your number one source for all your betting needs and sports info. Find all the latest sports developments, league reviews, and news, including this year's NHL playoffs, Major League Baseball as well. BetOnline is your continued source for all your sporting wagering information, including live betting, esports, and scores. The NBA 2K League is well into their season. It's getting heated as the playoffs are approaching. Also, if you feel lucky and if you really are a diehard Spurs fan, go check out the Spurs championship odds for next season. Just a mere $20 will get you a nice return if that miracle happens. Go check it out. It's over at BetOnline. And BetOnline.net remains the best spot for all your sports scores, podcasts, news this season. BetOnline.net is the fastest and the best way, and the easiest way to check in on all your favorite sports and events, including MMA, boxing, and golf. Head to the website today. Use your mobile device to learn more about the trends and action. BetOnline, where the game starts. We're back with Casey Viera right here on Locked On Spurs. He is with Kens5.com or Kens5, just period. He is their weekend sports anchor. Follow him on Twitter at Casey_Viera. Casey, it's been a while since you've been on Locked On Spurs. A lot has happened, from the draft to the Murray deal to Lonnie Walker getting his papers. And thanks, Lonnie. We'll see you down the road. What do you make of all this movement that Brian Wright and the brass are doing with this roster? Is this going to be an obvious tank for Wembanyama, or you think maybe there's something bigger on the horizon, possibly now? Sweepstakes, Kevin Durant. I don't know. Well, what are you seeing the direction of this team?
Well, not the Kevin Durant part. I'll tell you right now. Don't buy your. You have a better chance of cashing out in Vegas on that title odds than you do the Spurs getting Kevin Durant. So, if you're feeling ambitious, go for it. Feel like losing money, go for it. I honestly, a little bit of a culture shock that this is actually happening.
Yeah.
For a lot of people. But how many times over the past 2 years have we sat here and almost like clockwork, wash, rinse, repeat, we've said, they're in the gray area. They're in the gray area. They're in the gray area. They need the DeRozan Aldridge thing. It's maxed out. They need to split that up. They're in the gray area. The DeJounte thing. Listen, they're good, but is DeJounte untouchable? No. So if they have the chance to move him for a large haul, which they did, do you do it? Yeah, that's something you explore. I think that this is a process that was necessary, that needed to be done, that was done 2 years that probably should have started 2 years earlier. And I don't want to say 2 years too late, because that would kind of imply that things are over. But this process should have started, if not even further before that. But that's a different conversation. This is a process that should have started earlier, and I'm glad that they're finally heading that direction. And I felt for so long that because they're in that gray area, it just hinted that there was just a lack of an identity as to what they are. Do they want to win? Do they want to rebuild? Do they want to try both? Do they think DeMar is the guy who can lead them to a playoff, a playoff series victory, if not more? Are they just really, really hopeful that they'll figure it out? How much is Pop? Is Pop saying, don't do this because we just keep this roster together, keep on winning because I just want to keep on winning? All these things, all these different stones, we turned them over and over and over for essentially 2 years. And along the way, just learning that this team was just what they were. It was just a mediocre team that was heading towards more sustained mediocrity of not being good enough to be a perennial contender, not being bad enough to bottom out and get a good draft pick, a top 3 pick. So while this team's going to be silver, black and blue, I guess you could say, over the next 2 to 3 years, at least there's a direction now, and I'm okay with that. I'm okay with the fact that there's just a direction. It's a start here, and I'm okay with what's going on right now. They might not win 20 games next year, but you know what? If they come back, if they come back with Wembanyama out of this, I think a lot of Spurs fans will feel perfectly fine with
Right.
sacrificing 1 year. You know?
Yeah, it reminds me of when the team traded away George Hill for Kawhi Leonard. Fans were furious. What are you doing? You're trading away an established NBA player for an unknown, and look what happened. Came down via title. What? Uh, Robinson and Elliott are injured. Excuse me. Whoa, too bad for the season. And then Tim Duncan comes around. So yeah, I mean things happen. Well, things happen
That
for the
2 week
reason they
long
happen.
that
Yeah,
2 week long hamstring strain is suddenly a
yeah,
2 month injury. Oh
yeah.
man, we have to rest him for the rest of the year.
But I guess you're right. It had to be done. Personally, I think it should have been done when Claw forced his way out of San Antonio. I think that's when you should have just pulled the plug, because perhaps
Hmm.
maybe the team isn't in the position they are now, having to do it now.
Hmm.
I even when they had DeMar DeRozan, maybe in season, when he was balling out in San Antonio in his final year, trade him then. Um, so yeah, I mean, it was a move that had to be done, and I think it sends a message to the rest of the Spurs current roster that you're not untouchable. That I think
Hmm.
if another offer is made similar to what they saw with Murray for Keldon Johnson, Devin Vassell, I think they would have to entertain that, Casey.
Yeah.
But
I
eventually it has to
mean,
stop, though. Eventually it has to, I mean, you can't
right,
have a complete
right,
fire sale. Yeah.
right, exactly. I mean, you have to keep something. You have to, with some of these in-house guys that you're bringing in, you have to keep them in the house at some point. You can't just keep letting them go walk and walk and walk and trade and trade and trade, because then you're not good. Then you're not getting anywhere. And I think if you have foundational pieces, which I think they do, but no stars, which is the case, then I think you got to hold on to that. And in all likelihood, there's no real scenario right now that like trading Keldon or Vassell or somebody really makes you better long term. Realistic scenario, you're still going to probably be bad anyways. You're still realistic scenario. There's not really one singular trade that kind of takes them off the trajectory uh, of being a below average rebuilding team. In my opinion, the way I see it. So I think right now it doesn't make sense dumping everything, but
But
that
I
also
mean,
doesn't mean close the door entirely.
right, because the speculation is that Jakob could possibly be next.
Right.
Then
Oh no,
he's a
I was
big
speaking.
piece. Yeah.
Yeah, I was speaking more so to Keldon
Okay.
and
Yeah.
Devin Vassell. I mean,
Gotcha.
if someone comes calling for Jakob, I think you explore that definitely,
Hmm.
definitely. Yeah.
Yeah. I just wonder what the ripple effect is with DeJounte as a precedent for this current Spurs team. You look at Lonnie Walker when he did his first interview with the Lakers, the media session. He flat out said that one of the factors of why he didn't return to San Antonio, although he said that was on the table, that he was going to stay, was seeing DeJounte leave. Uh, you also factor in, Derek White, gets traded in season, goes to the NBA Finals. I mean, these are guys that, your DeJounte, Lonnie, and Derek, obviously, that are not in their prime, but they're starting to start seeing that already. And they're going to be like, do I want to be part
Mhm.
of a rebuild or do I want to bolt now? I think that could happen for Keldon and Devin down the road. What are your thoughts?
Well, I mean, Lonnie, I don't think whatever Lonnie would say at that point as to whether or not DeJounte was a determining factor in him staying. I don't put much stock into that because I don't think Lonnie Walker had a place. I don't think Lonnie Walker. There's a reason. There's a reason that the Spurs pulled that qualifying offer. The Not even the day before, the hours before free agency started, because the feeling was mutual. They knew Lonnie didn't really have a future here, and uh, so I don't think that's necessarily something the Spurs are going to be kicking themselves over. The what was your second point?
Do you think that
Yeah.
perhaps using the DeJounte example of because he said it was a mutual agreement that they part ways
Right.
in his Atlanta talk with the Atlanta media. Could that happen for a Keldon and a Devin? Because likely chances are high that this team will still be tinkering to get into the playoffs, or maybe just still a fledgling playoff team. And these guys are gonna be entering their prime years.
Mm-hmm. I maybe down the road, maybe after they sign that second contract.
Right. Yeah. And then there's that their contract. You have to pay these guys. Yeah.
Right. I do think they're at least on the trajectory that they would both get a second deal after their rookie deal expires. Keldon sooner before Devin Vassell. Down the road, I think maybe, but I don't think that's necessarily a Spurs specific thing. I think that's just a basketball specific thing in general. I don't think that's something the Spurs would be doing right or wrong if it came to that point. I think that's just basketball in general. But when it comes to that, though, I feel like it's tough. It's tough. It's tough holding on to these guys, and it's tough to commit to a plan entirely when you know that there's a chance down the road that things might not bounce your way. But then on the other side of the spectrum, things change. And I remember from the day Brian Wright was talking to the media the day after the Murray trade, and I asked him to basically paraphrase the way to say it without getting him in trouble, was that if Durant or Mitchell became an asset, or not an asset, of course they're an asset, became a real possibility, would they pivot from the rebuild to go into that? And I thought he gave while it was the safe answer without getting into trouble, I thought it was a good answer, because he said in this business things are so fluid and things change just like that. Whether it be a move, whether it be an injury, you got to do it. You got to wait it out, but you got to go with the plan. And I think right now I kind of like the way that things are looking on that front.
He is Casey Viera. Make sure to follow him on Twitter at Casey_Viera and check him out. What are you on? You're holding it down on the sports desk from Thursday through Sunday, correct?
Yes.
Thursday through Sunday. Yeah. Make sure to check him out on your television set out there in San Antonio, holding down the sports side of things. Doing a bang up job too, Casey. Good job.
Thank you. I appreciate that. Likewise.
Yeah.
Likewise.
By the way, I appreciate you using some of the sound bites I got from Brooklyn on draft night. That was very cool. Yeah.
Oh, of course. I would do no less.
Yes, you would.
That is true. Yes.
Yeah, and again, his so Casey told you how you can follow him. It's my turn. Make sure to subscribe to Locked On Spurs wherever you get your favorite podcasts: Google Play, Stitcher, iTunes, now on YouTube, as well as the Ken's 5 webpage, or should I say their YouTube page. It's all there for you. No reason for you to not check out every single episode of Locked On Spurs. We always thank you for making Locked On Spurs your first listen each and every day. And again, free and available wherever you get podcasts. For your second listen, go check out Locked On NBA. Basically, NBA news in 30 minutes. What better way to catch up on everything silver and black and more than checking out Locked On NBA. So for Casey Viera, I am Jeff Garcia. We're putting on a lock on this episode of Locked On Spurs.